Hi, welcome to this quick chat about super users. My name is John Pollard. I'm on the marketing team with Nordic, and today I'm joined by Gail Boushley from Bellin and Megan Rice. I'll have them introduce themselves shortly. The idea to do this session actually stemmed from our cutover series where we were talking about the value of super users within that particular scenario, cutting over. And I thought it might be worthwhile looking at some of the things that Bellin is doing to implement super users in a broader sense. So we thought we might look at what makes a great super user, what sort of things should they be doing, what does a super user program, if you will, look like. So that's what we're going to talk about here today. But before we start, Gail, could you tell a little bit more? I didn't actually tell you what her role is. Her role is the team leader for training and optimization, which is appropriate. Can you tell us a little bit more about your background for those that maybe missed our session, which you should go watch?
I am a registered nurse for 30 years now, and 29 spent at Bellin. And I have been involved in the EPIC project here at Bellin since its inception of deciding to go back, and we started in 2010, and have been now involved in it full time.
Excellent.
And I'm Megan Rice. I am the current inpatient practice director at Nordic, and I worked with Gail and the Bellin team when they implemented EPIC back in June of 2012. I was the ClinDoc and Stork application lead, working with Gail, who was the operational lead at that time.
Great. So let's dig right into these super users. First of all, maybe you should define, just to start off, what is a super user?
For us, a super user is an end user, someone who actually uses the system in their day-to-day work, who is exceptional at it, and has a desire to help others learn as well as can be in the system. So that could be a registered nurse, it could be a physical therapist, it could be a respiratory therapist, it could be a physician. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't matter what discipline you are. If you're touching that record, we need a super user for your area.
Okay. Mm-hmm. What do you think makes a good super user?
Someone with the right attitude. You have to want to teach people and need to have patience, because not everyone learns at the same pace, understands things as easily as the next person. Some may be very technical savvy, and others may not even have a computer at home. But at work they have to use one. So being able to be patient and calm in that teaching moment is really important. That desire to want to help others is really what it takes.
So where would you use a super user? Across what areas do you see a super user being of most benefit?
In particular, in the inpatient areas, ambulatory, we have discovered in hindsight would be an ideal place to have super users. When we went live in 2012 for the acute, our ambulatory had been up and running, and they disbanded their super users and they went back to their regular jobs. When we went live on the acute side, we were not far out from having to start planning for our first upgrade, and we recognized, we need to have them. So we use our super users for upgrades if we have changes in workflows that we need to redesign documentation based on new workflows or new procedures. We have this great team of super users who can help us with feedback on how we could improve the record, and can then be out there helping when we make that conversion over to the new workflow or with the upgrade. We have people out there to help all of our staff as we make that change. So they are invaluable. You're going to need them, if you really think about it, all the time. We meet once a month. We give them an update of what's coming. They get to see things first, so we keep it really fun and interesting. So they get to preview upcoming changes before any other staff get to see it. So it kind of builds a little bit of excitement, keeps them engaged. They also give us feedback, what they're hearing out on the floors from their peers, on what's working, what's not working so well, where we could make improvements, which is a part of our optimization. So there's always opportunity to make improvements. That's where Epic is always making upgrades. There's improvements that are made or guidelines change. So these people are really critical to making sure that we can help our staff through all of those changes in the most stressless manner possible.
Yeah, and I mean, Gail raises a really good point that I don't think all organizations adopt, which is not just involving your super users during your implementation when you're going live with Epic for the first time. Bellin did a fantastic job of mobilizing a lot of different people during the implementation, and particularly it came in as we were doing our workflow validation and the clinical content validation sessions. I mean, we met every week for 8 hours a week, and that interdisciplinary group met to review all the content that was necessary, additional workflow changes, but not only before the implementation, but they've been continuing to be involved afterwards. So I think the adoption that Bellin saw when they implemented Epic, as well as with the past several upgrades, from your feedback has been really positive, and I think that's definitely something that I hope a lot of organizations would take into account as they're continuing to do this. These aren't just changes that are being pushed onto end users or because IT wants to have them done. These are things that the whole organization adopts, and part of that adoption is by having great advocates like the super users to really communicate those changes and get people excited on the units or in the clinics about what changes are coming.
They've been the super users have been an excellent advocate in helping our IT world, not just from Epic, but IT in general, better understand the clinicians' needs, because there used to be quite a gap between those two worlds. The clinical people, they don't understand anything technical. The clinicians are saying those IT geeks don't know anything that I'm trying to tell them, that I'm speaking English. Now they're working together side by side, and they're having a much more cohesive relationship and actually striving to learn more about each other. And I think that that's been a huge success in our organization now, to see that blending where we have both worlds recognizing that they can't live without each other, and that each party is integral in patient safety and making sure that that medical record and how we care for our patients go hand in hand. So even though they are clinicians, they are helping to bridge that gap.
So besides the go live and maybe the upgrades and things like that, how do you then schedule these super users into the regular mix, if at all? It sounds like you do. What does that look like?
It is part of their regular job. They agree to do it while they're working. These are your rock stars when it comes to their documentation. They're the ones that can adapt quickly and easily to it. We have buddy badges. This one says RN. We also have one that hangs lower that says super user.
Okay.
So they wear that all the time. So whenever someone is on the floor and they see that there's a super user, they know they can go up to that person and say, I need some help, could you help me? And they'll, as soon as possible, sit down and help them with it. So they're out and about all the time.
Gotcha.
And this is now 2.5 years after go live, so this is not a once and done sort of thing. This is in perpetuity. And
They're excellent resources during upgrades when you want to do end user testing. Ours are scheduled this Thursday. We're doing end user testing for our upgrade to 2014. So we have this great resource, fully supported by our leadership, that these hours are paid time. They don't get paid anything extra. It's part of their work schedule. And the team leaders, or the managers of the departments, recognize the value that these people bring to their units.
Now, how do you keep them So they're getting information maybe before the others and that sort of thing. Do they need any special extra training or certifications or skills that you guys have to provide to keep them super?
Well, we do they have the ability to get involved in education offerings. We have part of our orientation for nursing, and we've married up our didactic with our EPIC training, so they can get involved there. They have many opportunities to get involved in optimization projects. There isn't anything that we do in our organization that somehow they can't get involved in that requires their EPIC skills.
Right. Have you gotten feedback? What does it mean to them to be a part of that? What sort of things do your super users say about being a super user?
It's been very positive. They were quite proud to receive their buddy badge, and they wear them. I actually had one call and say, "It broke, I need a new one." And when can we get the news on the upgrade? They hear about it, and it's like, how soon are we going to get to know about it? So they really have a great drive to stay involved.
Yeah, and seeing it too during the implementation when I was with you guys, there's definitely a sense of camaraderie and team cohesiveness between the super users and the IT team, as well as the super users and the clinicians. I think they play such a pivotal role in that because they do see what's happening in terms of the system changes that are going to happen, but there's really this sense of we're in this together and how can we work together. So they all had really positive attitudes. I know some of the super users were involved in the actual training of EPIC to the end users as well, and yeah, they just had a really positive attitude about it, but could handle some of the difficult news that came about with some of the changes that maybe weren't ideal from the get-to-go. So I think people with strong backbones were helpful in this process.
Yeah, that good attitude and wanting to, that desire to really make a difference does help, and preparing them when it is going to be something that isn't the ideal, so they can be good change agents out and about is really important, so that they get the what is changing, why is it changing, what can be done in the future potentially to make it better, and giving them the ammunition they need so that they can then explain it to their peers as to, okay, this isn't what you wanted, this is the best we can get it to today, and here's why, and here's what we're doing. So then they feel empowered also, so that they can really portray themselves as that professional that they want to be. So it's important to really give them the foundation of information. It's always about the information. If you give them enough, they can go out and do a lot with it.
So if I'm an organization, like some of the viewers here, and I want to start doing this, is this a big, complicated, formal process? Do I need to document this, have it approved by committees and things, or do you just start doing it? How did you guys go about it?
Actually, we used the guideline from EPIC on super users. They have a great guideline out there, workbook. We just decided to continue on. Is really what we did. EPIC gives you some great tools. Megan was helpful with her experience on some of the key things as well. So having a Nordic consultant is always a nice thing. But it does get you started. It's understanding once you're live, don't stop. And EPIC doesn't tell you should carry on or you should stop. It's really up to the organization, but I will tell you it is the smartest move. It really is. We have very stress-free upgrades. Even with our physicians, our CEO would be able to tell you that with our super users who can support physicians as well, have really made a difference in the number of complaints that we went from paper to pen. And then now they're using a mouse. That was a huge change. Huge change. And I don't know anybody that could say that wasn't for a physician to move into the electronic world. But those super users really did help them, really helped them adjust. They would take some heat, calmed them down, and were able to keep them going.
I think one of the other key elements of this too is how you choose which people are going to be involved and from what disciplines they come from. We talked about this a little bit earlier, but I think it's really helpful, and I've seen this be successful with organizations where you choose an interdisciplinary group of clinicians that are going to be involved, that care. You know, they're folks that are really going to take pride and ownership in the work. So Gail, for instance, and Bellin had nurses from various units, whether it be ICU, so for critical patients, even wound care nurses, the physical and occupational and speech therapists were involved, respiratory therapy, dietary, the quality and risk management owners and staff from the hospital were involved, pharmacy was involved, and different representatives. I mean, there was a different physician governance group that met as well, and some of these same users supported the physicians as well. But I mean, I think there are enough changes that happen with any major Epic event, whether it be go live or upgrade, that having people that truly understand it from across the whole spectrum of patient care and that continuum of care, as well as the different specialty areas, is really critical. So you're not just designing content or designing workflows for a small minority or even a majority. You're designing it for all, because you've got all of those different areas involved.
Right, and these super users also helped us make sure that our documentation, our workflows, and if there were policies related to those were also updated, or the appropriate council was notified that there's changes, we need to update the policy. So it just really branches out beyond just click here, click there. It's really a full spectrum of super user support, from emotional to technical. So it is really a very, very valuable process.
Sounds like it's been very successful. It sounds like if you are considering change management of any sort, this sounds like an integral part of that, or if you're obviously cutting over, that's going to be an important part. But I guess the key message is don't stop with the super users.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching.